Welcome to Two Psychics. This is Michael Edley, Evidential Medium and Mystic, discussing all things spiritual.
Hello, I'm Mary Amy of Two Psychics, an intuitive wisdom coach, tapping into your mystical life and sharing messages I receive about you.
What is up, everyone?
How are you?
I can hear it now. The world of electronics. I'm delayed. Your internet connection wouldn't come on.
What is
so
going on?
Yeah,
It's
psychic energy at its
crazy.
finest.
I know, So, Mike, what happened was we were talking, and I was, to be honest with everyone out there, by the way, it's episode 88. Here we are. But in June or July, we'll be at 100. May 7th, I was going back and forth with a promoter who's put together a live show for us. It's a dinner and psychic night. So that's why I'm running late. And then when I finally was all ready, woohoo, what happens? My computer wants to do all these updates. So I'm so sorry, everyone. I'm so glad that you're joining us tonight. Here we are. And you know what? Let's see. Maybe I should put a banner. Should I find a banner? Let's see what banner. Show.
Well, it's all good because everything I say may be delayed with my camera, and I even changed the pixel from high def to low quality, and so if it looks a little fuzzy tonight, it's because I'm trying to match up my audio and my video, and it does not seem to be working. So fortunately, I do have another system that I'm going to be trying. I'm going to have to set up in my office and see why I'm getting so much computer lag. I guess this is an older system, and I think it has a lot of stuff on it. So it wants to run very slow now. But you can see me, you can hear me, even if it's a little delayed, and I can see and hear you just fine.
Yay! Well, you know what?
We are here.
It's very cinematic looking. And everyone out there. So I'm an intuitive wisdom coach, energy healer, light worker, and believe in the language of light. And Michael Edley is an evidential medium and visionary. And I want to make that clear right off, because anyone who's watching or listening to us, they're going to say, who the heck are these two? We're two psychics from the East Coast. Okay, so Mike, our topic tonight is psychic messages, and we have some upcoming guests. This is going to be a short show. Anyone who's watching and listening, please do me a favor and write in the comments, and if you want to ask us questions, and maybe we can even read you. So there's that. And I know you're a little lagging, Mike, but let's just run through. I'm going to tell everyone, because I don't want to spend too much time on it. I want to get into some of the things that have been going on with each of us, some kind of paranormal, supernatural events. So, Mike, I did send you the lowdown on who's going to be joining us in the next few weeks. I don't know if you had a chance to print it out.
Fantastic guest list we have.
And these are friends of yours. Mike has
a
following on the Jersey Shore, and also he has a following internationally. And next Thursday evening, our show is going to have Troy Griffin, who's an intuitive, and you know him pretty well, Mike.
Yes, I know Troy well, and Troy was, him and I have been working together for a little period of time now, so we know each other well, and he's got a really cool background as far as his connection to working with unsolved crimes and like murder mystery and doing that type of investigative psychic work. So I'm sure we're going to pick his brain a little bit on some really wild stories. And then anyone that knows the whole Tiger King lineage and that whole story and everything that went around that, that program during what was that, 2020, 2021, where that was like this craze phenomena, the Tiger King, right? It was something
you're talking about.
Yeah, so there was like this internet sensation You'll have to check it out, but it's really interesting. I don't want to spoil it.
Okay, okay. Oh, you mean he's going to talk about it? Is he going to
Yeah, yeah,
talk
yeah.
about it?
Well, it's something he was involved in. It's something he was involved
Oh,
in. It's something
okay.
we'll kind of pick Troy's brain on a little bit, but he's done a lot of work with with local crime investigation, national crime
Mhm.
cases, missing persons, so a number of different things. So that'll be pretty cool to talk about. And
Okay,
then
perfect. Oh, we
so
have a comment here. Cynthia,
oh, okay, okay.
Lock, captions are indeed delayed and skipping some words, but yes, can see them.
Oh,
All
excellent.
right. Well, thank you, Cynthia. Now, is Cynthia a friend of yours?
Yeah, Cynthia is probably could be my cousin. We have a couple Cynthias that watch the show. If
Oh,
it's Cynthia, my cousin, what is up, Cynthia? I hope you are
hi,
enjoying the subject. But we
Cynthia.
have a few. We have a few
Hi.
Cynthias. And if I
Fantastic.
look like a mannequin, my disclaimer tonight, if I look like a mannequin, I truly am not trying to act like a mannequin, but I'm trying to
Okay.
sit still so my camera doesn't lock up and freeze with me in like this weird position. So I
Yeah.
might look a little bizarre. But yes, so
No,
we
it's
have
okay. We can
we have
hear you
Troy,
clearly.
which is gonna
I
be
think
cool. And
perfect.
then
And yeah.
ooh, our guest after Troy is going to be one that is near and dear to my heart, but also I think you'll find very fascinating with
Hmm.
the aspect of combining psychic abilities, mediumship, and artwork, and portraits, and drawing, and connecting to someone's auric fields, connecting to their loved
Right.
one in spirit, and that's our guest Joe Shield, Reverend Joe Shield, and he's a phenomenal artist and a medium. He was someone integral to my path and me
Mhm.
getting onto this journey and kind of
Mhm.
igniting, some people. It's funny when certain people come across our path. I do believe everything happens for a reason, and we always hear that funny saying, when the student's ready, the teacher will appear, or at
Right.
least that person that'll light a fire under your ass maybe and get you going in the direction you need to be going. And Joe was that person for me. He was probably the first person that I could sit and really discuss some in-depth aspects of mediumship or things that were going on with me that I didn't fully understand and could absolutely talk about it with no one. He was the guy that I
Yeah.
was like, tell me about this. What are your thoughts about this? And I knew he wasn't going to think I was crazy. And he could give me a legitimate perspective of, well, okay, this is probably what's going on here. And, there was a point where
So wait, what
I
did
was
he
running
say
my company.
that Mike.
Oh, yes,
So what
yes.
did he say that you said to him, this is crazy? Like, because you and I, we get so used to having these very bizarro things happen. At
Yeah.
least most people I talk to are like, okay. So when you say that, what exactly are you talking about?
Okay, so just my own experiences that I had as a child. So the funny thing was, my whole life I had connected to spirit, had my near death experience, showed me there was this other realm, beautiful realm around me. And I had also tied into my psychic abilities through most of my life and saw how you could manifest, how you could use those abilities to get insight and guidance. And, there were some situations where they could have been really, really crazy situations if I didn't
Right.
just trust and follow my psychic abilities. And this is stuff as like a teenager. This is stuff, my college years early on. And there were some really weird situations and predicaments that I was able to get through in the best possible way because I tuned in. And when you have those experiences from a very young age, it's almost like your soul keeps on calling you. I was very conflicted, and I was very conflicted of what I needed to do. Did I, I was being called to do this mediumship, and I knew this crazy stuff was happening, and I wanted to talk about this and show people the continuity of life exists beyond the body. There's this spiritual realm or this energetic realm that we can tie into for creativity, art, music, and it was just something that I always experienced, but there
Yeah.
really wasn't a lot of people I could talk to it about. It was like my grandmothers, because they were tuned in their own way. One was talking about the saints and the mystical aspects of religion. The other one, it was just mystical aspects of knowing and hearing that word and that divine energetic connection, and everything is energy. And it was that weird dynamic that Joe was the first person that I sat with. What's funny is I do believe I was kind of led to him spiritually. My wife went to him, Michelle went to him for an aurograph, and he actually painted her father who had passed. And there was some really crazy stuff around his passing that had happened with me too, of him coming to me and giving us guidance and direction. And it was interesting because through that process, I was really conflicted. I knew I was meant to do this and I was really being pulled to do it, but I was so conflicted because I didn't want people to know I was a medium, or were they going to think I was crazy, or, am I crazy? What am I experiencing? And also the religious connection, and, is this evil? And I had to look at this. I had to kind of step aside and look at this from all perspectives. And I was very conflicted. And the
Yeah.
interesting thing with Joe was part of the Catholic Church, and um, was he a Franciscan monk, or was he actually, I don't know if he may have actually been in the process and was was in process as like a monk and going to become a priest. I do believe he was. I don't know if he was fully in yet, but he was pretty much like all in with the church, and he had all these crazy experiences. And I think because of his background and his religious connection and how he navigated that, it was almost like spirit aligned me to find him so I could
Right.
gain insight and knowledge from him of how he navigated it. And it almost helped me navigate it in the same way. And really, it was like, the people that are meant to be connected to you and the people that love and support you are going to embrace it. They'll be okay with it. And you'll be able to move forward in that way with those connections. The people that you're not meant to be connected to, unfortunately, you may move away from, or you may break away from as you embrace your mediumship. Not everyone, it's not meant for everyone. Not everyone is going to understand it. And that's the one thing you have to realize is, you can't make everyone happy. You're not going to please everyone. And if you try to do that, I think you lose being true to yourself and what's your truth and how you need to move forward. And
You have
that's
to
where my
surrender
conflict
to it.
was.
You have to
Yeah.
surrender to
Yeah.
your calling. And
So
yeah.
him and meeting Joe was probably the most pivotal point in my life where I was like, you know what? This is real. This is true. He's had a lot of these same experiences. I kind of see where his journey was. And it really opened and shifted my perspective. And I also started to understand that, this is truly a language, that everything we have and possess as of right now is just our abilities that we've accumulated along the way. And we can open our understanding and our learning abilities to take this to other levels, just like an instrument, just like running a marathon, or, running the 5-minute mile. You're not going to run that the first week or a couple weeks that you start running, but over time you'll build up your endurance and you'll be able to do it. And he showed me that there was this process behind psychic abilities and mediumship, that I didn't understand the complexity of it at that point. And it was, yeah, it was really an awakening. And then that led me, his connection and my wife going to him led me to the church he was working at. Of Spiritualist Church was the Journey Within, which was the late Janet Nohavec, Reverend Janet Nohavec, and I was able to study with her. And she was a nun. She was a Catholic nun that had to leave the covenant. So it's weird that the teachers will present themselves when the students are ready. And I think we always talk about that. And I think it's important for people to be patient with their progress and its small steps. And like when you're ready to unfold and tune into that, you will. But that's the one thing that we always say, Mary, is, we talk about when your soul's calling you for something or a purpose or some other meaning or this venture, or, whatever it may be, it's going to keep calling you till you do it. And that was that was that with me. It kept just pulling me and pulling me. And, I was going into the city and got pulled into all these really weird, cold cases and different events and different situations and scenarios that just kept reaffirming that there's something to this and I'm not crazy. And this is a real thing that's happening, and
Yeah.
I think
I
everyone's
have,
journey is their own journey, right? And we have to kind of experience it in our own way. And we have to, sometimes it's our own trial and error, or our own roller coaster ride that we need to navigate to understand it in the way we need to understand it.
so Joe, your mentor, Sheil, will be on May 21st. The following week, May 28th, and I'm going to respond to what you said. I just want to get through the dates. May 28th is Kelly Wagner, editor of Edge Magazine. She's a psychic medium. June 11th is Jennifer Rose, a medium. And July 11th is Debbie Dackinger, who's a galactic shaman, ET contactee. And with regard to what you said, it's so interesting because what happens to me is after I engage with either a live event, meeting someone that is a medium, a psychic, someone who's very spiritual. I am like not only a conduit for information to share with my clients, but I'm a sponge. So it seems that it brings up my abilities and then it rises up, and then everything just seems very vivid and beyond 5D. Like, in other words, where you can see the energy coming off of objects, nature. My dreams are extremely vivid and moving. I'm very aware that I'm in a dream now. And I fell upon this information yesterday, which I'm including in my book, and I'm so close to my book being complete. And it was related to these light codes. And I have had extraterrestrial contact telepathically. So I'll lay down to go to sleep, and it's actually happened when I'm walking around. So it's not just bedtime. But on a whole, it's like I close my eyes. Now, I could literally do this during the day, close my eyes, and I hear this very strong tone. And it's a frequency that I tune into. And then I replicate it in my mind, or I just tune into it. And what comes through to me are these light codes. And what are these light codes? Well, they're sacred geometry, the flower of life, the Merkaba. And so I fell upon this information yesterday. And I know it's not going to mean much to a lot of people, but it's like anything. You find out about it, you sit on it, you embrace it, and then it becomes part of you. And what I found was each one of these sacred geometry takes you to another level in your DNA blueprint, because there's untapped DNA within you that is going to be activated. And I believe it's going to be activated pretty soon for the entire globe, the earth, because of disclosure, because of more people awakening, because of the solar flares from the sun. And it's a cycle. We're going into a new cycle. And just like you and I, maybe we were activated way before we were born and we were in our mother's womb, or it was before we were even, before we even came to be as a being inside of our moms, we had these abilities that were very prominent. And the point that I'm trying to get at is that it's very exciting what's about to happen. And I realized this is what I see at night. So I'll see these light codes. And what is a light code or a download? I'll see blue, some kind of blue language or shapes, or purple, or specks of light. And my eyes will be closed. And it is like an impression that you and I receive during psychic readings or mediumship readings. It's just in a different format. And what I thought was that it was random. And what I'm realizing now is it is levels that are being downloaded. So eventually, I believe that everyone's going to have this happen. And I'm just a little bit ahead of the game. Now, you probably have been receiving some kind of downloads for many, many years, because you were tuned into being a medium since what year?
Oh, wow. I mean, sometime in the when it really hit, and I knew I was having this two-way communication. I mean, it was I'm going to really date myself now, but it was probably late 70s, early 80s. It was early on in my childhood that I experienced this, and then it just progressed, and then I buried it for a while, and then it would just keep creeping up in certain instances. But an interesting thing that you talk about too is when we start getting signs or shapes, or you start getting like a symbol, or you were talking about that a little bit, when we're learning this language and this language of energy that helps us communicate with spirit, that would be one thing to pay attention to also, is if you get a reoccurring like geometric shape, and look that up and see what that could refer to, or what kind of power is behind that shape. And is there somewhere where you're going into that environment and maybe you're dismissing it, or you could slightly shift the arrangement of an environment and go into some kind of powerful geometric alignment. I do believe subconsciously our psychic awareness will tune us into that stuff. So I think anyone that's getting some kind of like symbol or download of like a geometrical shape or a certain number or something like that that you can't explain, pay attention to that, because there's a reason you're picking up on that energy, or that little piece of information. And when we can take a step back and learn why we're being given that piece of information, sometimes that could be a really, really significant shift in some kind of energetic cycle that we're trying to move forward in. So I would definitely pay attention to that. So it's interesting. That's the first thing that came to mind when you're talking about geometrical shapes. And what's really interesting is I heard a like a feng shui expert at one point talking about analyzing like the sight lines and the way the sun is penetrating like through your windows, and different ways to look at your space. And that's a really interesting thing too, when we look at like ley lines or like energetic meridians, is how we can align to the geometric shape. And that could be a reason why someone gets a little piece of that download. So yeah, pay attention to those psychic hunches or those little pieces of psychic information. They are coming for a reason.
And in relation to the ley lines, those are there's portals, there's locations, certain pieces of nature, whether it's a cave, a tree, water, and it's crossing over. There's specific ley lines that are a powerful, sacred, ancient space that you can transport yourself, that you can connect to and activate yourself. I do agree with you related to symbols, and so these geometric shapes that I'm referring to are the sacred geometry, are specific symbols. And like you said, like some of them are circles on top of circles, and there's quite a few of them. I think there's maybe 25 of them. And if you actually stare at them or look at them or imagine them, it's going to change something inside of you. There are videos that you can watch that as this is happening, where it's not a still photo, it's moving around and you're hearing a voice and they're telling you what is changing. It changes you. It's one way to activate yourself if you're interested in going beyond this physical reality. So Mike, we should tell everybody what we have going on June 10th. It's June 10th. It's a Wednesday. And it is a dinner and psychic night. And it's in Pelham. We're back to Pelham. Mike, you're back to Pelham. Back to Pelham. It's always Pelham.
We love that town, and that town loves us. So we're happy with that arrangement.
It's okay. It's okay. So it's called the Pelham Piers Restaurant. It's just had a reopening. It's 65 First Street. It's on the description if you want to come see us live. So it's dinner and then a show. It's going to be very interesting. I'm going to tell you exactly what you're going to be in for. So the doors are going to open at 6. Dinner starts at 6:30. So it's dinner and psychic night for $65. It's a 3-course dinner. I'm pitching it right now. And it includes soda. There's a cash bar, tax and tip included. And you can call 917-567-5842. And that's in the description. So what are you going to see? Well, first of all, you're going to meet Mike and I. And it's going to be a real show. Okay. This is a show. Okay.
I just have to chime in. That was a great commercial. That was good.
So
I can definitely tell you were part of television and film.
Well, you have no idea. Okay, dinner and an enchanting evening of spiritual connections, mediumship reading, contact with loved ones from the afterlife, and psychic readings give past, present, future guidance. So you will meet Michael Edley, Evidential Medium, from his hometown on the Jersey Shore, and Mary Amy, intuitive wisdom coach from Westchester, New York. And together, we are two psychics from the East Coast. It's a fun, intriguing, metaphysical night. So I'm looking forward to that. Let's see. We have some comments. Let's keep the ball rolling. Okay, so Cynthia had said, yes, cousin. Simran said hi. Suzanne Savage. Hello, Suzanne. She's back. I haven't seen you in a few days. This is so interesting, so much to think about, and keep your mind open to this fascinating universe. I love it. I agree with you, Suzanne. It is. It definitely, definitely is. I do have to remind everyone to write down your dreams. I am having some very strange dreams, I can tell you. And I know I mentioned the extraterrestrial contact. This is something entirely different. And I was telling Michael, and he said, talk about it on the show. So here I am talking about it on the show. And what am I talking about? So this is what happened. This was in a dream. And it was almost like when there'd be curtain number 1, curtain number 2, and curtain number 3. I mean, there used to be a show like that. Like you get to pick which curtain are you going to open up, and there's a prize behind it. That's something from when I was a kid.
The next contestant.
I know, right? It's a contestant show. So I literally had that. I had something going on over here, something going on over here, and something going on over there. And what was going on over here was so in the middle, was so bizarro. So this is what happened. I saw, okay, ready? I saw water coming up, and then and it was moving, but everything was like Technicolor. When they used to say a cartoon's Technicolor or a TV show or a movie, and it was like landscape, water, and then the landscape grew. So it was like maybe went through a year of growing kind of thing, or a season, and then it went back down. It was like that time I had this dream where, or it was a vision, not a dream, where it was with dolphins and guys in scuba outfits. This was a few weeks ago. And they popped up with all these light blue dolphins together, and then they went back down underwater. Well, this was foliage, and then came down. It was beautiful. And I was like, oh my God, I want to be there. That is spectacular. So I don't know I'm activating some crazy stuff going on now. I don't know what's going on here, Mike.
The funny thing is your mention of dolphins, and I'll tell you what's been a really interesting experience that I've been having with a lot of my clients is a lot of people are starting to tune into like their animal's energy, or like feeling the presence of their animal in spirit among them here in the physical. And that's like such a deep, loving connection. That's one of the things I guess I would say to people, if you're trying to connect to a loved one in spirit, whether it's a person or a pet. A lot of people are focused on the psychic energy, but I think it's that energy of love that kind of opens and connects us and channels. It helps channel that energy. But one thing, like if you're really tuned into animal energy, then you're definitely really tuned into the psychic, intuitive energy of things, even if you don't think you are. And that's like one of the indicators for me. Like all people tell me, I don't feel like I'm psychic at all, but I know what my animal's thinking, you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, well, if you know what your animal's thinking and you can kind of pick up on that energy, you're tuning in psychically. So like, don't discredit that, And it's funny. It's just you talking about the dolphins kind of reminded me of that. And I think it's funny. It's one of those things. I've just seen a lot of that synchronicity over the last couple weeks.
So the reason why I brought up the geometric shapes, and I know now, because sometimes I forget why I'm talking about something, and then my memory will clear up, was because after I realized that and went through these sacred geometric shapes and looked at what it activates, like some of it activated new healing your cells, some of the different geometric shapes did different things to you. It was like different levels. Some brought out intuitive abilities. I went and read through all of them. And then the craziest thing happened. I went back to writing my book, and it was just easier. Like it was easier to write because I had this learning disability. So for me to write this book, is epic, because I had a learning disability, I had a speech problem, and I'm teaching myself. But my point is that it all went away after I read through this. So that's why I'm telling everyone, look into sacred geometry, because there's something to it. And it's going to be in my book. My book is called, maybe I shouldn't share it till it is released, but it's interesting. It's about angels and demons and witches and healing and ETs and mythical creatures. So it's paranormal, supernatural, aliens. And I think there's some disclosure coming tomorrow. I watched today.
Well, I can't wait to read it.
Oh, yeah? It's 11 chapters. And there's little paintings. So it's interesting. Okay. Nice. So what have you been up to on the Jersey Shore, Mike? Have you been doing a lot of readings and mediumship galleries so that you maybe will entice people to go to some upcoming?
Did I just disappear? What was that on my end? My screen just like, no, okay, I'm here. Good. Okay. It's
just smile video. The whole
I've been doing a lot of readings. I've been doing a lot of readings, a lot of events, keeping busy. So yes, not a lot of downtime right now. And it'll be like that for the next couple weeks. I'm looking forward to coming back up to Pelham, New York. That'll be fun.
Yeah, that's June 10th.
June 10th, yeah.
Maybe what we could do tonight is we could help people be activated. So how about if you do a little exercise, I'll do an exercise, then you do an exercise on ways to activate maybe whatever you want, either your mediumship or connecting to spirit, or it can be psychic. And I'll talk about right now, because this is what's coming. This is what's coming in the world right now. Okay, so how about we talk about activating your clairvoyance? And it's not as complicated as everyone thinks. It's really so much of everything that we're talking about is having a willingness to try and self-confidence. Doubt, it'll just smash this. Fear, this won't work. You have to be confident and brave and courageous and say, you know what? Oh, they say that everyone has intuitive abilities. I'm going to try myself. All right. So let's talk about our clairvoyance right now. And what is your clairvoyance? Your clairvoyance is the ability to see past, present, future. Maybe it's related to, it's a knowing, it's clear sight. You're seeing through this located portal that's between your two eyebrows in the middle of your forehead. And how do you activate it? Well, you're also, let me just say, for me, I receive impressions in the form of mental images, signs, symbols, visions, and more of awareness, better problem solving, more mental clarity. I suggest you don't have to do full-on meditation, but you get quiet. So you get quiet, you get comfortable. And sometimes that part is the hardest of all, because we're not used to it. We're used to having a lot going on around us. Talk, 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 talk. There's no silence. And you're using up so much energy that you don't have to out here. So basically conserve your energy, have some silence, put your feet on the ground, put your weight in your bottom, ground yourself, let out a breath. Have patience, focus, and concentration, because it's about making contact with an outside source, yourself first, and then an outside source. So what I would suggest is, like always, we're not going to go through the whole breathing thing. I'm not going to bore you with that. I'm just going to say, let out a breath, because it is about relaxation. The more relaxed you are, that's why in a dream state, you can have astral projection. You can have these crazy dreams. You can sense something. Maybe you can hear some angel whispering in your ear, or a sound from another location. Okay, so we're going to put our weight in our bottom. We're going to have relaxation. We're going to first tune into our heart. We're going to say, how am I feeling? Because that's heart contact, and that's how you begin contact with yourself. So you say, how am I feeling? And you hear something. Now, maybe you're not going to hear anything right in this moment, but this is a way to activate it, because you're saying, I'm trying. And when you're trying and you're asking for it, you're manifesting it, and it will come to you. The answers will begin to come if you really want them. Okay, so I heard very good, doing great, because I am, and I'm feeling hopeful. And there is light on the horizon. So then what I would say, if you want to activate your third eye, your mind's eye, and you want to see someplace else. Now you can close your eyes, or you can have your eyes open. For me, I see the other location with my eyes open. And in the past, in the very beginning of doing this, I would see a farmland. So it would be green meadows, a white fence that belongs on a horse farm, and sometimes animals. Then it moved into angelic beings. And more recently, it's a variety of things. So you can say, you can close your eyes and you can say, oh, to yourself in your mind, or you can say it out loud, I want to open my third eye. Or you can say, I have opened my third eye. You're manifesting it. You're having an intention, a strong intention. You can tap the spot. When I do that, it's aggravating to me, but you can tap the spot. You can take your finger and you can move it in a circular motion to open up your clairvoyance. So it's your mind's eye. It's another location, another dimension, another realm, whatever you would like to call it. And it transcends what we know as time and space. Now, it could be, you should instantly be receiving information by making a suggestion. You can take little stones like I have, and they can be polished, raw, and you can place it there and you can ask for it to be opened. Now, if you would like to activate your intuition, your mind's eye, your clairvoyance, you're going to have to be okay with it, which means you can't say, well, I'm really scared. What if this happens? It's not going to work. You have to really be open and be brave. It's a fun experience. So in other words, you can tap, you can make a circle with your finger. You can just imagine a beam of light, a circular circle, maybe the size of a ping pong ball right in the center of your forehead between your eyebrows, and you can visualize it. And what do you see? So when I do that right now with my eyes closed, I see a lot of blue light in there. And just try it. And after you try it, I would suggest giving yourself an exercise. And that would be something like, I would like to connect to my clairvoyance, and I am asking my clairsense and ask a question about something, someone, a memory. You can ask yourself about a memory, and say, or if you're puzzled about something, ask yourself, ask your clairsenses, and see what response you get. Now, maybe you're not going to have clairvoyance be your number one clairsense. Maybe it'll be hearing or feeling, or your cog, precog, or your some other sense, smelling, tasting. So I would just say, try it. If you're interested in psychic abilities, try it. Okay, Mike, what do you have for us?
So this is a slightly different exercise. I'm not gonna take everyone through this exercise because we're not like a huge live group and where I have like photos and different things, but I'll just share the process with everyone.
Good.
so they can go through it and start seeing how they're tuning into information. And this would be, you can really utilize this for anything, but I'll give you a pretty clear cut way to do it. So what you want to now focus on is you're going to be tuning into some type of picture, name, or event, and you're going to see just energetically what information comes to you around this. So this is how I would challenge yourself to do it. Find initially some historical event that you're not really familiar with, you haven't heard about a lot. You really didn't learn about it in school. Even if you did, maybe there'll be some residual information in your subconscious, but try to find a historic event that either like didn't happen here in the US, happened, in a different area of the world, or just something that would have happened that you really wouldn't have paid attention to or knew about. Take that one topic. If you can find a picture from that event. So like say, I'll give you an example. So if you want to focus on like World War II, you don't know anything about World War II, maybe look at like a newspaper article or a political figure from that time or that event and just see what comes to you around it. Are there certain names? Are there certain aspects of history? Are there certain pieces of information that you wouldn't know, but when you focus on that headline, that topic, that picture, information starts coming to you. You can do this also with, say, some like a historical figure. You get a picture of the historical figure, and maybe you know who the figure is and their name, but you don't know a lot of the history about them. You don't really know who they are. You don't even know where they came from. And meditate on just their name and their picture. A classical artist, a musician, a political figure, a sports figure. If it's something that you know nothing about, maybe just focus in on the name and what the person looks like and see what information comes to you about them. Will like health conditions come? Maybe they passed of a certain health condition and maybe that ailment will come to you. Maybe they had a certain type of family life that led them on that trajectory of doing that, of going into the war or being a musician or being Mozart or being Salvador Dali or being General Patton, and try to find the picture and the name that you can focus on the energy of that you know nothing of, and then research it and see how much stuff came to you and resonated with you that tied into that picture. And there's weird like energetic exercises that we could do like that will start to tune us into just picking up on the energy of people, of places, of things. And it's kind of a little energetic exercise. So we're just focusing on a picture or a name of a historical figure, a political piece, a political thing that happened in a period of time that we're not familiar with, a certain event, a certain location, and just see energetically what comes to you. But the whole thing is you want to have as little knowledge as possible, or like no knowledge at all about that particular historical event or that person or that incident that you're looking at, you're trying to pull the energy from. So it's a really, really cool exercise. And I can tell you that's something they did in the lab, which was really interesting. Like in the Yale lab, they would show me a picture of like a family, and the family had gone through some crazy situations, or a crazy, maybe there was a death in the family or a murder or something happened with the family, they were killed in a fire, or the family had some kind of crazy chaotic situation that they were able to navigate through. Now they're on the other side of it. But I would see a picture of this family, the whole family structure, and I would have to say everything that came to me around that. What were the people like? What were their personalities? What were they dealing with? What did they navigate? What did their life look like? And it was weird how much stuff, just by focusing in on the picture and not having any preconceived notions, because sometimes we'll have a preconceived notion of, okay, a person dresses this way or they have this particular look, so this means maybe they're this way. Well, when you're tuning into psychic energy, you let all that go. You let any type of stereotypes or preconceived notion go, because that would actually give you like an emotional attachment to it. So when you separate from it, seeing what energetically comes to you. And sometimes it may make no sense at all. And actually, if it's making no sense, that's a very good thing, because that means you're probably getting some type of pure information that you
Yeah.
haven't skewed emotionally or had some kind of stereotypical perspective on that skewed it. So yeah, it's actually it's a very interesting experiment that we can do, and we can do in many different aspects of it.
Well, when that that's the part when you receive that information that you say, I can't say this because it sounds ridiculous. But then
Yeah.
that actually is the information that you are supposed to give, because it doesn't mean anything to you, but it means something to them.
Okay.
I remember I used to do these psychic events in Brooklyn for this paranormal group, and you'd have 50 people, and they'd be in a line, and you have 5 minutes or something, and the most random information would come. I remember I'd say, "Oh, sewing. I see you making, sewing something in a sewing box." And I described it. She was like, "I just left my house and I had a pattern out." And she was actually sewing something. So it's interesting. That sounded weird to me, but that's real information that you're connecting to an information stream or their aura or something like you just said. But I
Yeah.
like the idea of not having any information. It's like it's remote viewing.
Mhm.
It's kind of remote viewing what you just said, isn't it?
In a sense, yeah, because you have a target, you're looking at a particular person or a historical figure that you don't know anything about, and technically, yeah, I would say the streams of consciousness and the energetic, like, the frequencies or the wavelength that you're kind of tuning into, yeah, it would probably be the same thing that a remote viewer would be tying into, yeah. So if you're, like, referring to remote viewing the past or remote viewing, what's crazy is, like, there's people that remote view the future too and see, like, future timelines, but yeah, I would have to say you're absolutely correct, and that's probably the similarity. It's you're looking at that same, like, wavelength of energy, and that's how you're tuning into it.
Yeah, I think that's a good exercise, what you just said. It's also a way of testing. But what it just came to me. When you try is when you actually connect without realizing. So trying is taking you beyond, because you're stretching yourself,
Mhm.
and then you go get further along. Maybe if you don't even get that information that moment, you eventually will. I used to say years ago when I would do these lives, I'd say, imagine, like, I don't know if you were around for Gumby. There was this toy, this rubber toy, these rubber toys, or even like
Okay. Gumby
some,
Gumby and Pokey. Gumby and
yeah, Gumby,
Pokemon.
and they were made with this rubbery material. But it's like if you took yourself, you left yourself, your legs and your bottom area in a chair, and you just visualize your whole entire torso and head and arms going straight up to the moon, the stars, the heavens, the ether, the clouds, and just stretch yourself. You literally are stretching yourself, just like the exercise you gave. And maybe not in that moment it's going to make a difference, but you've touched on something, whether you realize it or not. So every little bit adds up. Baby steps.
Yeah, it's a way to learn your energetic language too, because you could do that exercise and you'll start getting like a certain symbol, a certain sensation, or you'll be picking up something in a certain manner that you don't understand. But then when you take a step back and you analyze it a little bit, you'll go, "Oh wow, okay, that's how spirit's trying to communicate with me in that way." Like I'll give you an example. For me, I was getting weird numbers and I didn't realize, okay, I kept on getting a 3. No one could take the 3, but when I took a step back and could see that the 3 was lining up with the month of March, it's the 3rd month, and they were, like, simplifying the energetic connection because it's like a burst of energy, and if the 3 didn't make sense, I would now have to talk about the month of March because that's the 3rd month, and all of a sudden, that starts making sense. It's like, "Oh, wow. Okay." I just had to kind of understand that language that was unfolding, and what are they trying to show me in a very simple, quick way? Because it's a burst of energy, and when you're in that zone, you're in complete, ADD mode, so your mind is all over the place. So the quicker and the more concise and precise the information is, the easier it's gonna be to understand it when you start developing that language. So that's part of the process too, is a lot of times we start doing this and we don't wanna make a mistake or we want it to all be right, but there's gotta be a lot of error and a lot of mistake in it as you're sorting it out to kind of identify where are they taking me with this? What is this symbol supposed to mean? Or why is this reoccurring sensation? Like, I didn't initially understand when I was connecting to them that like mom's energy or connected to mom always started tingling in my right side, and they were trying to show me we're going to use your body as a compass. So if I'm on a one-on-one in a gallery setting with many people, it's a little different, but on a one-on-one, they'll use my body as a compass. And I generally know just by how spirit's coming in and how I feel it, where they're connected to my sitter. Is it on mom's side? Is it mom? Is it higher than mom because it's coming in at like a 90-degree angle? Is it coming in on the left side so it's connected to dad? Or even if it's someone outside of the family, I know, hey, this energy stepping into me is stepping into my left side, so it's a male energy. Before I know anything, I can feel and start to identify what that spirit is. Name, rank, serial number. Is it male? Is it female? What can I get a name? Can I get some significant dates? How are you connected to the sitter? And that all unfolds just like we're talking. It could be a little burst of, what started out as a shape, and now you develop that into a special symbol that when you're connecting to someone's, mother in spirit, you always get this symbol, and it's like it seems overwhelming initially too, because there's all these different little parameters, but it's really just small steps opening and tuning into it. And just the more and more you do it, the more you learn, right? It's the school of psychic life. You're constantly learning and growing and understanding new things about this energetic language.
The more I've connected with my intuitive abilities, the more I became confident in other areas of my life because I understood things more clearly. I had more clarity when I had more clarity with myself, and I do understand the language of other people more. You're talking about the language of of mediumship readings or intuitive or psychic readings, and there's a language also of yourself and how you are receiving information in the world. And
Yeah.
the more that you tune into your clair abilities, the more you understand the relationships around you and information you're receiving in the world, not just psychic stuff. What are people's intentions? What, there's signs like for a long time, oh, I for a long time didn't really understand what things meant. And the more that I, like from other people, I wasn't really understanding them, but the more that I tuned into my abilities, then the more I could sense what other people were trying to share or discuss or feel. And I don't know, I'm just trying to basically say that everything that we're doing and everything we're talking about is going to help you in other ways than just, okay, who's going to be in my love life? Okay, should I take this job? I mean, because we all have the answers inside of ourselves. We're just like bringing them forward. We're getting them from you. You have the answer inside of you. I'm not just some seer that is like, oh, I'm not giving you anything super profound. I'm just reading you and what's going on with you. And you can find you out yourself.
I love what you talk about is kind of learning about yourself while you're doing this process and understanding yourself on a deeper level. And I have to say, like for me, I don't think I ever understood what really made me tick until I started doing this work and I really started looking at everything on an energetic level. And I started seeing like, oh wow, okay, that's kind of why I have that quirk, or I feel like I navigate certain things in a certain way, and you start seeing, maybe that's why I do that in that way. Or, we have certain things we do in a certain way, certain processes, certain procedures. And, some of it could be in the way we were raised, or, the environments we were in, or, just certain people we were around, certain quirks we pick up. And it's funny because when you step back and you look at everything from not just the physical aspect of it, but the spiritual aspect, or the psychic aspect, the intuitive, empathic aspect of it, it really makes you look at the whole picture, where if you're not looking at it in that way, you're only seeing a piece of the puzzle with just looking at the physical aspect of it. Yeah, I absolutely would say I learned more about myself as I went on this spiritual journey than I ever would have otherwise. I think you have to, and I think it's part of that process, the dark night of the soul, or learning and understanding your own psychic abilities and your mediumship abilities, or just your healing abilities, or whatever that may be. When you go on that journey, it's really personal. And I think if you really go on the journey and you truly uncover all your stuff and you look at things from an energetic level, you have to be, I think it gives you like an inner strength otherwise, because you have to be really strong and you have to kind of step back and look at things. And sometimes we want to see things in a certain way, or why I do this, or we want to wear our rose-colored glasses, or not acknowledge, we have some quirks, or or we're particular or obsessive over certain things, or have OCD or ADHD or whatever it is, and I think when we can look at it from an energetic standpoint, I almost think, rather than like critically look at it and look at it from a point of ego or like scrutinizing it, we can almost take a step back and we can understand it, and we can see how we can use it for our highest and best. You know what I mean? So rather than it be like a liability for us, if there's like some weird quirk we have, or why we are a certain way, when we look at it energetically, we can go, all right, I understand this now. And now I can use this to my advantage rather than my disadvantage. And I think that's the important thing of looking at things from energy, from an intuitive psychic way, because that's going to open us. Obviously, we're talking about spirit messages. What will open and tune us into that? Well, it's the language of psychic energy. That's the basis of it. So it's all intertwined and interwrapped.
Also, I just thought of something. I would get invited to do psychic readings at birthday parties and holiday parties, and there would be gala events, big events, and some of them in some really fancy homes in different towns or New York City. And it was funny because what was a real common thing that I heard was, how can I be more spiritual? Help me to be more spiritual. And for anyone out there, I'm going to make a couple of suggestions right now. If you're just finding that you're super focused on possessions, stuff, I mean, stuff is great, but that's not going to make you happy. You're just going to keep wanting more stuff. This is my perspective. So I'm going to make a couple suggestions. Yes, you can focus on your intuitive abilities. Yes, you can meditate. Yes, you can spend time in nature quietly. But you can also do things like, we've had guests on our show, Shayna Blackmore, and she does these sound baths. You can find Shayna. There's other sound healers. You can go get one of those
crystal bowls,
but what are they called? They're what are they? They're not. They have a name for them. It's something crystal bowl. It's like what are they called? A Buddhist crystal bowl.
Oh, like they have the Tibetan brass ones, or they have like
Tibetan bowl.
Exactly. Yeah, the brass ones. They're cool.
You can do that. Yeah. You can listen to nature sounds. Nature sounds will help influence your physical system. Like if you have a lot of stress, listen to waves. Listen to a recording of waves. Listen to binaural beats by Mike. He has his where is it? He has his
Divine Journey of a Mystic Soul by Michael Edley. Shameless plug.
This one right here. You can look. You can order that. Now, is that on iTunes and all that, Mike?
It is. It is everywhere. Everywhere there is music streaming, it is streaming.
It's Pathway of Light, Beyond the Facade, Eternal Presence, Awakened Soul, Infinite Encounter. It's super positive. So those are other ways if you would like to activate yourself. And it's not going to happen all at once. It takes a moment, but the journey is really fun. The journey is really fun. So we're almost to 9 o'clock, and we're probably going to close the show because we started late, and that was an hour, and I think that's enough time. How are you feeling about that, Mike?
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad we were able to jump on, just say hello to everyone, Get prepped. Oh, look at that. A little Two Psychics podcast bling. It makes your coffee taste a little bit
Water.
more.
I don't drink. I'm not
It
drinking
makes your
coffee.
tea a little bit sweeter. It makes your coffee a little bit stronger.
I'm not drinking coffee. It's like, okay, everyone. So now we are on YouTube, iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, Spreaker, and you can listen to us, or you can go back. We have 88 episodes, including tonight, and we will be back again next week with Troy Griffin, the intuitive, who Mike knows pretty well. And we want to remind everyone, if you want to meet us live, you can get tickets to a dinner, a 3-course dinner on June 10th. And the doors open at 6 o'clock. And we're going to do a show. It's a dinner show. It's going to be a fun time, dinner and an enchanting evening. So we hope you join us. And we had a couple of comments. Kevin Haggerty said, hey, Susan. They're all just saying hello to each other in the chat. Hi, KG. Suzanne said, great show, so positive. Well, thanks, Suzanne. We love you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you, KG. Appreciate everyone for listening, everyone joining Two Psychics podcast. But yes, we have some really fantastic episodes coming up, some really good guests. We're going to deep dive into some really cool topics of conversation. I'm very excited, and I'm very excited for our live event, which jump on to any of our pages. I have the Spirits with Michael Edley on Facebook, Mary Amy Official on Facebook. Is it Mary Amy Official on Facebook, or is it just Mary Amy? Mary Amy Official, right?
Mary Amy. It's just
Mary Amy.
Yep, just Mary Amy. It's
okay.
maryamyofficial.com. That's why you're thinking.
So website is maryamyofficial.com. So go on I Have the Spirits with Michael Edley on Facebook, Mary Amy on Facebook, or Two Psychics Podcast on Facebook. And you can get your ticket link for our next event coming up. It's going to be fun. We are looking forward to seeing everyone, bringing what we do here on the podcast live to you. And it is going to be good.
I hope you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm getting some pointers from Kelly Wagner about that. And you can find us on Facebook, Two Psychics Podcast, if you'd like to know about events. If you'd like to contact Michael for readings, private events, you can find him at ihavethespirits.com, me, maryamyofficial.com. And I also want to say one more last word, that not only can you connect yourself by sound healing, by meditation, but you can bring more spirituality into your life through love, compassion, service to others, and forgiveness. Okay, everyone?
I think that's part of the journey, finding how we could be of service to others. But thank you, everyone. We will see you next week.
We'll see you next week on May 14th at 7:30, and we'll be on time, and hopefully my technology will be working. Everyone be well. Bye.